see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, isn't he?
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
What's up, everybody? Another episode of Coast to Coast. Today is Friday. I am your host, Pags. We got Bo on the other side, and we got McLovin showing up in about an hour. He always shows up right around noon or 1 o'clock, depending on where you're at. Today, I'm broadcasting direct from my living room at Dolan's Bar. It's a snow load day. We've got 6 inches on the ground already, and at least that's what she said. And
is that a bless your heart amount of snow?
Well, you know what? We don't live in Buffalo where they get feet at a time.
That's right.
Yeah, and from what I understand, there could be feet at a time when they play this weekend. It's going to be pretty bad. Which makes me think, they are about to do a new stadium out in Buffalo. And I understand, trust me, I can appreciate the want of having the outdoor games. However, I do also believe that should you get a dome over that just to protect from having to shovel out the snow. Keep it open for the games. If you want to do it for the games, but protect it so that you don't have to worry about it before the game.
No, if they're going to redo the stadium, I think you do it similar to like Seahawks Stadium, where it's got the awning that goes over all the seats, right? But the field is still open. And then because they do, monster truck shows and stuff, you can get loaders in and out of there. So then you could do the field with tractors, right? So it doesn't have to be such a time-consuming thing. You're not out there just literally with shovels. So I think they can redesign it, still being open air, and then that way you don't have to try and shovel it out of the seats. You may have to do the first few rows because of wind or whatever, right? But you wouldn't have to do the whole stadium or have people sitting on snow. I think if they were to do it kind of with that design in mind, as opposed to just straight up open air where, you're out there getting snowed on and rain and all that.
Well, I understand that part, but with as much wind as there is there, and I got to imagine that once wind gets into that stadium, depending on, they're going to have to pay very strong attention to the north, south, east, west of this, because you can't have it open for where the wind is going to come right through, because ultimately you'll get it would be just like it not being there, and I feel like it'll whip around a lot. It will tremendously whip around a lot in that stadium.
It did swirl. It did swirl for sure. But it would still be better than just straight coming down on it.
Well, but it doesn't ever straight come down. That's the problem. Yeah. This is
I agree. But having the roof line come over, even with wind, would protect it. You wouldn't get the feet of snow. Like, you may still have to clean up some snow, but it wouldn't be crazy. I get what you're saying about a dome, but I think those northern teams like that home field advantage of cold and wind and, making the Dolphins look terrible.
Yeah. Well, I remember, the Dolphins went up there last year and, almost, beat them last year. So Absolutely. This year, obviously it was a little different because they had Pittsburgh. So in Pittsburgh, they let those first 2 touchdowns up and then they couldn't really recover. It went, score for score after that. So, it's not like people are afraid to play in the cold, but that lake effect snow with the 60-mile-per-hour winds, had they had that game when they were supposed to have it, it was a complete whiteout. There was no way.
Oh, you're not throwing the ball for sure.
Yeah, the last time I saw that much white on a screen was during the Fog Bowl back in 1990 when the Eagles lost. Um, in a lot of fog. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because you
you
couldn't
couldn't
see
see
anything that was
sideline to
going
sideline.
on.
No, I
So
remember that. It was that was a crazy game. I mean, you couldn't see sideline to sideline. It was thick.
correct. So news for the football. Yeah, let's go talking about football. The Ravens. Andrew is going to miss the divisional round versus the Texans.
Really? Hmm.
Yes, it's Mark Andrews. Uh, they expected to activate tight end from injury reserve ahead of the divisional playoff matchup against. Uh, there's optimism ankles sideline with an ankle injury could be available. The Ravens advance to the AFC Championship game next week, but he is not in for this game.
I mean, that hurts.
Bills Davis is out again. Gabe Davis won't play for a second straight week. And Chiefs Douglas will be a Rasul Douglas, ex-Eagle Rasul Douglas will be a game time decision. And
Hmm.
linebacker Terrell Bernard, also game time decision. So interesting. I think out of all of those, Rasul Douglas may be uh, a big loss for them if he can't play. I remember Rasul Douglas. He's not the most amazing cornerback, but he is got he can go man to man. He can stay with the guy,
Yep.
and so hopefully he will be able to play. Uh, the
Yeah,
other guy, I'm not. Middle linebackers are a big deal nowadays.
yeah. I mean, you don't want to lose any starting defensive players going into the playoffs. Like all the teams are
Correct.
talented at this point. You need your dudes.
So, as reported yesterday, Kingsbury interviewed with the Bears for the Bears offensive coordinator job. No word from that on how that actually went. And Mike Vrabel is interviewing for the Chargers head coaching job.
Yep.
You know what? The one thing that I find very interesting is that there isn't any unknowns names. These are all recycling coaches.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I mean, you do have some OCs and DCs that are also coming up for some of these jobs. So I mean, like, I mean, so for the Seahawks, right? They're gonna interview Ben Johnson. Dan Quinn's a recycle, but they're gonna interview the Ravens DC, Mike McDonald, the Rams DC, Raheem Morris, the Dolphins OC, Frank Smith. The one that kind of surprised me a little bit is they're going to interview Giants OC Mike Kafka. And that team was in bottom 5 of like every statistical category. So that one I kind of don't get just because they don't do anything particularly well. So, anytime I've ever been hiring, right, if I see someone's coming from an organization that does everything fairly poorly, they're not on the top of my list. Like that's not that dude that I'm like, you know what? They are bad at things. He should do that here.
Well, and that. Like I'm also a firm believer that, like Mike Singletary said, I want winners.
Yeah.
I want guys that know. That's the one thing that I'm big on. I want guys that have gotten the ring.
Sure.
That means they know what it takes to get over the hump. And if you're not getting over that hump, it's a fight. It's really a fight.
Yep.
And if you haven't done it yet, you don't know what it takes to get there still.
Yep.
So it's just interesting to me that's the only reason why Mike Vrabel doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
He's won rings as a player, but not as a coach. And he didn't get over the humps a couple of times. He had a couple of opportunities and didn't get over it.
Yeah, I mean, he got to the championship game. They came up short there. But then his roster kind of faded. And, I mean, like I said a few days ago, I don't hold, especially this year, I don't really hold it that much against him he had that team battling. I blame the GM for just not getting him any talent because he has old talent or just a lack in certain areas. So, I mean, Vrabel, I feel like you could take the flyer on even in that scenario where maybe like you're saying you want a winner. I think you could take the flyer on Vrabel because he's been on championship teams. Like he's seen how to get over the hump, even though as a coach he hasn't. But he hasn't coached that long either, right? So, but some of these other guys, I mean, they're like the Giants. They're not sniffing a championship, right? So that guy's at on your list of phone calls when you look at every category and like their best thing it was like 27th in the league. Like that's not amazing.
No, and I agree that, but I guess you got to still play everybody out. You know what I mean? Like, hey, yeah, it's some people are meant to be coordinators. Some people are meant to be coaches. You
True.
know, and that's how that kind of works. Now, you would think being a good coordinator would almost elevate you to be a good coach, but we found that that's not the case. Some people are better at coordinators than coaching. I feel like some people are better at coaching than being a coordinator. Tomlin could be one of those guys. Tomlin's defenses were always pretty good, but Steeler defense were always pretty good.
True.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't like he was anything spectacular over there, but he's been a great coach, and I keep touting him a little bit. I'm not a fan of Tomlin. But you have to be able to respect the fact that he's very good at delegation and he's very good at motivation.
Yep.
So when you have those two good things going for you, that's going to produce wins, and that's all he's done is win.
Yeah. I mean, and you can't dispute that, right? Like all he's done is put up dubs every year. I mean, whether you like him or not, dude can coach. And
17 years,
without
never a losing season.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any coach in any sport, maybe Red Auerbach. Maybe Red Auerbach is the only one I could possibly say that fell into that category, who had 17 years of coaching and didn't have a losing season. That list of coaches has got to be very, very, very small.
Extraordinarily small. Yeah. Like it may just be one.
Right. Well, I mean, you can't even say the same for Belichick. Like even during those 20 years when Brady got hurt, he had a bad season. They made it to the playoffs, but I mean, I guess they were over 500. But that one year, he didn't win the division. There was a time he was under 500. So, and I think it was within 17 years. So it's possible, that he's not even on that list.
Absolutely.
Andy Reid's not on the list.
Nope.
So and I'm thinking great coaches. Don Shula, he didn't make that list.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting. Maybe one of our followers could do the research and see how many teams, how many actual coaches have gone, we'll say 15 plus years. Let's see how much of a list there is going 15. I know that Tomlin's 17 years.
Yep.
But I'd like to see anybody who's gone 15 years in a row. You know what? The Braves manager. Well, I think his last name was Cox too. Was that his last name, Cox?
That I don't remember.
There used to be the. I see. This is the great part about being in a bar.
Research department behind you.
Who was the manager of the Atlanta Braves for the longest time? Beat his wife. Bobby Cox. Bobby Cox.
Okay,
See, I tell you got to just remember certain things. He beat his wife. That was that made news. Everybody remembers that.
Sure. Yeah.
He might be on the list.
Yeah.
That he's gone 15 years. Hey Joe, you know what? All right, let's give it a little bit of play. Let's talk hockey a little bit. Let's talk hockey since there's people that are saying, "Hey, let's get some stuff up here." The Flyers beat the Dallas Stars yesterday 5-1. And the Flyers have made it into second place in the division.
Okay.
That's a big deal.
Absolutely.
We are only 2 points down below the Rangers right now. Also a very big deal. Seattle, are they still on the run?
No, they've gone on a 3-game skid here. They're still 7-3 in their last 10, but they're sitting sixth in the West or in the Pacific. So um, it's getting increasingly harder for them to get into that playoff mix. Like they're not out of it, but I mean they gotta basically catch fire the rest of the season.
Yeah, looking at their record, 19-17-9. That's a full under 500. And I think
Yep.
of that. I think of Arizona, the Coyotes having a better record than that. And
Yeah.
that's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a
No,
tough
it's not.
pill to
It's not
swallow.
great.
When you when you have hockey in the desert doing better than your team.
Yeah. No, it's right. Unfortunately, this team looks a lot like they did the first year, right? The first year they were, I want to say they were the second or third worst team in the league, and then they get into the playoffs last year, surprise some teams, and this year it's just been really inconsistent. Like they'll have runs where you're like, okay, here we go, they're figuring it out. Ahead of this 3-game slide, what they rattled off, I think it was like 8 wins in a row. So I mean they were doing the thing, but they started the season so slow, it was going to be hard to overcome anyway. But again, if they catch fire, anything's possible.
Scotty Bowman, out of all the sports,
Only
is the
coach.
only coach with more than 15. And again, I didn't even think about him, but absolutely, he was amazing with the Detroit Red Wings. I mean, he was a staple over there. It's Scotty Bowman, only one out of all the sports. Rick is a good is. I trust Rick's. Rick is going to definitely do the work to see. So, and it's hard to. It's not so easy to Google that. You'd have
Yeah,
to Google that, I think, individually for each sport.
for
But
sure.
all right, so there we go. So you have Mike Tomlin and Scotty Bowman.
That is a
Interesting.
very short list.
As was expected. As was
Absolutely.
expected. I
I was
did not
actually kind of
expect.
surprised there was another person on it, really.
Well, I kind of thought, like I said, again, Bobby Cox, he won
Sure.
11 division titles in a row. I don't remember what happened right before, or right after that, so he may have had a losing season, but there could have been a team that actually was somewhat close to him, and he just lost the division title, where
Yeah.
he but still had a winning record. So, but anyways, so but yeah, the Flyers are doing very well, second in the Metropolitan. But while Popovich, we have to do the research now. We got to figure out if Pop did, because I know last year was not a winning season. That he did do very well. I mean, I get that. So Popovich could have gone 15 seasons in a row. Although there's some reminder that the only way that you get that big of a draft pick is to stink.
Yeah,
So
you got to
when
be
he
bad.
got when you got Duncan, he stunk that year before. And I think that may put the mix in there because he had right.
Yeah, because what
So
Robinson was hurt, right? So that team was terrible. Then they get Duncan. Those two were
yeah,
paired up for a couple of years.
and then but Duncan played for like what 12, 13
Ever.
years.
Yeah.
So anyways, so yeah, I mean obviously I love talking hockey and we're gonna get more into this as football season starts to end. But right now the Flyers are playing some good hockey. They're playing some good hockey and you know, it's surprising because this team is not meant to do anything. This is
Yeah.
kind of in the middle of a rebuilding year. But as I've told a lot of people, when it comes to hockey, speed and hustle wins games. If you hustle and you got a little bit of speed, you could
Yep.
win those games. And that's what they're doing. Dallas has beaten everybody in the Metropolitan. They were 6-0 in the Metropolitan until they placed the Flyers yesterday, and now they're 6-1 and 6-1. So The Flyers are making a little run here. They're gonna maybe make some noise in the playoffs if they can keep it up, and that's the hard part. They got to be able to keep it up. We'll see if it will come to fruition, and we'll see playoff hockey in Philadelphia. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, they're on a run for sure. What they've won their last five.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
doing their
absolutely.
thing. They're doing their thing. So, anyways, all right. I'd love to talk more hockey, but really, we're not in hockey mode right now. We are going into the deep dive on the divisions. The divisional games. You got
So before we get there though, Belichick did go in for a second interview with Atlanta.
we reported that yesterday.
Yeah.
We did
So
mention
I
that he
mean,
was getting this.
it makes you think that there's something there, right? You don't bring Bill in for a second interview because you needed more information, or you know, can you bring in your rings? Like, it makes you think there's got to be a little more to it, like because they were bringing in the rest of the staff, so that makes it sound like more of a like a game plan session. Like if you do come here, here's the staff. What's the strategy we're going to go with?
I I hear that. How much of the staff do you think he brings from New England? Uh oh. Rick has got some.
Wow, 22 years.
So they say, Pop. Here you go. To all the people here at Dolan's Bar, Popovich had 22 years without a losing record. There we go.
That's pretty fantastic.
That is pretty fantastic. We have to confirm that, but like I said, I trust Rick. Rick does some good work out there.
Mhm.
So yeah, not this year, unfortunately. Popovich is not going to be that guy this year.
No, nope. If he was on a run, it ends now.
Exactly. So you know what? Before we get to football, I'd like to go back and talk about what we talked about a little bit yesterday, and with the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Sure.
Because that guy started to get a little bit of vitriol
Yeah.
amongst.
McLovin was getting heated on that. I mean, I feel like we should probably wait for him, right? Because he was about to
Yeah,
lose
he
his mind
was he
there.
was a little hot about that. He was a little hot about that. All right, so we'll wait for him then on that because, like I said, I thought, yep. I mean, I- I'll be honest. I was never an Utley fan. I was
Yep.
never an Utley fan. I felt that he played uh, a little dirty. Now
Okay.
it's good when he's on my team. It's
Sure.
not necessarily good when it's when I
Against your
watched
team.
him play on another team's.
Yeah.
But all right, he fired you up. He was not very fun to talk to. Or the media had a very contentious with the media. And then what does he do? He goes and becomes the Dodgers guy. The media guy. And now he's
Yep.
like the media guy for MLB over in Europe. So interesting. It's just kind of interesting how that all works out. And like somebody who couldn't talk to the media, you know, was probably the first person to curse on live radio when he did the World Effing Champions. They're like, great. Yeah, that was live.
Yep.
So
10 grand. Thanks for playing.
but then of course Jason Kelsey went ahead and said it, and now everybody says it on they don't care anymore. Up what the team's going to say. If you're going to fine us, that's okay. We'll get sponsors to pay for that.
True.
But I don't know. I like I said, so just him specifically, I've got, and I could tell you about Scotty Rowland. I was never a fan of Scotty Rowland. Didn't think he was even the best third baseman when he played. And the
Yep.
fact that he got into the Hall of Fame makes me tell you that it's the Hall of somewhat good anymore.
Yep.
That's how I feel about that. I don't have the same appreciation for Scott Rowland that maybe some other people do. Yeah,
Mhm.
he he wasn't a Philly guy, so he had to leave here. Wah. I got to get the hell out. And then he went to St. Louis. Didn't have great numbers there either. From what I remember, he didn't win a championship over there. So, yeah, no championships. Not the best third baseman while he played.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does he deserve to be in? The writers thought so, just because they wanted to vote somebody in. That's what I felt like happened. There
Yeah, I
wasn't
mean,
anybody worth it.
again, that's the worst part about the Hall of Fames, just all of them really, is it doesn't rely solely on what you did on the field, and there's a popularity contest to it, and that's the part of it I don't love. Like, you'll have guys that in their era were dominant, but for whatever reason, the writer they either just didn't make enough noise, so the writers didn't really remember who they were, or they're a guy that they just kind of have some beef against, and they're like, "Well, we're gonna keep this guy out," as opposed to these stats say you're in, or these stats say you're not. Like, were you the best of your era? Were you the best in the sport? Like, those things matter, or should matter, and they don't always. Oh, your mic's off, bud. Nope.
There we go. Different than in basketball. I feel like basketball is definitely the popularity contest.
For sure.
If you were a name during the time that you played, you get in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's
NBA,
and
that's
I believe that should be. Because there's enough decent players over there. Whatever. You know what I mean? I love that the Pro Football Hall of Fame is not attached to the NFL.
Yeah.
You could be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame and be in Canadian Football League. You could be, there hasn't been anybody who's made it from the Arena Football League, but there may be at some point. You know what I mean? It's if the Arena Football League comes back and you have somebody that goes ridiculous, and just tears it apart.
Well, I mean, isn't that where Warren Moon started?
I started the Canadian Football League. I didn't realize if he was Arena Football.
I thought he played Arena at one point also. I could be wrong.
I will check. Let's check. Warren
Absolutely.
Moon, Arena Football. Kansas City Chiefs. Let's just see all the. He played in the CFL with the Edmonton Eskimos, and then the Vikings, the Seahawks, and the Chiefs.
Okay, so yeah, he didn't. Okay.
He won the Grey Cup.
Yep.
But never Arena. He played in West Los Angeles College and then Washington for 3 years. Huh. There we go. Thank you. Never played.
Yep. Yep.
Appreciate that. See, this is why we got some of the smartest viewers out here.
Absolutely.
They go ahead and they know what to Google right away. Like I said, we got all Warren Moon stats. Obviously he was. So interestingly enough, I didn't realize like he played for Seattle for a little bit, but that's kind of where he went to school. So it was only the Pac-8 back then. Wow.
Yeah. It was a while ago. Yeah, when he played.
He was 5-time Grey Cup champion, 2-time Grey Cup MVP, most outstanding player in '83, passing yardage leader in '82 and '83, passing touchdown leader in '79, '82, and '83. And of course all the different things. He threw for almost 50,000 yards throughout his entire NFL career, and almost 70,000 yards throughout it all. Over 70,000 yards throughout it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was an incredible player.
He won Offensive Player of the Year in 1990, the Man of the Year in '89, 9-time Pro Bowler, 2-time passing yards leader. When he played for the Houston Oilers, that was the run and gun, right? That was the run and shoot offense.
Yeah, that was definitely the height of his career for sure.
Yeah, because he went he went right to Houston after Edmonton.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that's where I remember him playing more than anything.
Yeah, he was too good for the CFL. Yeah, why? And I'm sure he went there because he was during the time when there wasn't black quarterbacks.
Yeah,
So, interestingly enough, he probably was way too good for the NFL or too good for the CFL, but they just didn't believe that black quarterbacks could run a team.
yep,
And it's amazing how far we've come since then.
for sure.
You know, uh, but after winning 5 Grey Cups, yeah, like maybe it's
Yeah, maybe he's okay at this.
yeah. I mean, then you had Doug Flutie do the same thing.
For sure.
You know what I haven't seen there. All right, here's another thing for all our people to watch and to check out. Has anybody won a Grey Cup and a Super Bowl? Any player?
Mm.
Interesting. Let them Google that. We don't need to Google it.
Yep.
We're engaging our fan base here.
No, for sure.
Just like we could ask trivia questions. Who was one of the few guys that hit a home run and scored a touchdown in the same week? That's an easy one. I figure that's a layup for all those people. You know, right? I assume you know.
Say that again.
You know who I'm talking about, right?
Say the question again. I missed the first part of it.
Oh, who has scored a home run and a touchdown in the same week?
In the same week? I mean, it's either got to be well, it's probably Bo.
Nope.
Dion?
The other one. Dion.
Yeah.
It is the other one.
One of the two, right?
So as we're starting to get this filled up in here, we're starting to get a crowd in here in our getting the snow load going. Everybody's here. 8 inches of snow outside. We're gonna get stuck in the bar. Harold Hasselbeck won both.
Oh wow!
Is that Tim's and
Matt's dad?
Matt's dad? That makes me think that may be the case.
Huh.
Long time ago. It's interesting. I'm glad that. See, that's why. But anyways, so there we go. We got one person that did that. Anyways, so we got these games that are coming on this weekend. Is there any game that you're really excited to see more than anything else?
It's probably KC Bills, right? Like that's definitely going to be a classic of a game. It's going to be cold. Neither team cares about that. Like it's going to be what you imagine football should be. Both defenses are pretty good. It's going to rely on the running game because, to your point, there's going to be a lot of snow. So yeah, I think KC Bills is going to be a fun one to watch. But really, all of these matchups are pretty good. Like I'm excited to see all of these games, especially after this last weekend where we had one good game and a bunch of blowouts.
Yeah, and Saturday looks to be similar by the lines. The lines are saying 9.5. The Texans are a 9.5 point dog, and the Packers are a 9.5 point dog, which is, I think, it's a lot of points to be giving up in a divisional game.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is these are playoff games. I don't really see blowouts here so much. I kind of can with San Francisco. Texans Ravens. I mean, that one's going to be an awesome game. If that Texans team can show out half the way that they have towards the end of the season here, there's no way that's a 9-point game. Oh,
I agree because of the defense. The defense is going to be able to, I feel that he's going to have a good defensive plan for this team. And, I mean, Lamar Jackson has proven that a week off does not help him.
Exactly. Yeah, they get rusty quick.
So I believe that that's going to be a very interesting game. Wouldn't surprise me. Originally looked at Jacksonville being the surprise, could be the dark horse to get to the AFC Championship game. It would be kind of interesting to see it the other way, that it's Houston that winds up being that team, taking a very big leap very quickly.
That would be interesting. I don't see that happening just because of how good the Ravens defense is, but it, any given Sunday, I guess. But that Ravens defense has been pretty amazing this season. So I think it'd be hard for the Texans to really jump out. But if they are coming in rusty, that's how they would have to win, right? Because the Ravens would get it figured out. Harbaugh is a good coach. He'd get his guys refocused after halftime. So they would, if they're going to win, they're going to have to jump out on them early.
Gotcha. We're getting some music now, so I want to make sure that I can keep this so that people can hear you.
Yeah.
It's starting to get a little raucous in here. I didn't expect it's such an early crowd, but that's what happens with snow loads.
Yeah, I was going to say, if there's that much snow, you're not really doing much. So, yeah, you just stroll down to the bar.
Exactly.
I'm with it.
But looking at this, the Ravens give up 16 points a game.
Yeah.
Houston gives up 20 points a game. Houston only scores 22 points a game, but the Ravens score 28 points a game. After all of that, the over-under in this game is 43.5.
Yeah.
That sounds like an under to me.
It's funny because I have the over only because I think it's going to be like a 24-21, right? So that barely gets you there.
that half a point saves you. That you get above the hook.
Yeah, exactly. The hook always gets you one way or the other, right? You either just made it or it just burned you. Can't even get the push.
Yeah, and I think I don't know that it's going to be that many points.
Yeah.
Unless it starts to run away, where you get into the fourth quarter and Houston goes for it on fourth down on their own 45-yard line, and Baltimore has a very short field to score touchdowns, and that's where it could start to get away and the over get picked. I feel like that's what happened last week or a couple of weeks ago, where teams were just able to score at the very end because you start to get nervous. You can start to go for it on fourth down to try to get it, and you don't get it, and you still got to score points at that point.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's. I think both these defenses probably get a turnover in positive territory in this game, and it's why I went with the over, because I think there are going to be a couple of short field scenarios for these teams, just because both defenses are good and both offenses are opportunistic. So I think you can get some kind of easier scores throughout this game, and it's a playoff game. So you got a rookie in there. Inevitably, there's going to be a mistake. And then you have Lamar, who historically has made mistakes in the playoffs. So that's kind of where I got there. Is I didn't necessarily think they were going to be long drives because it's the playoffs and there's just less of those. But yeah, I think there's probably going to be some short field points in that game.
All right. And the Packers and 49ers, the Packers, after their demolishment of Dallas, not getting any respect here. Not getting any respect. And I think this game is going to be much, much closer. Like I said, if the Packers come out any bit like that they did against Dallas, you're going to have a very rusty. Again, they sat their players for 3 weeks now.
Yeah, exactly.
3 weeks is a long time to not play football. And I know they've been practicing, but even still, you get Brock Purdy behind, he gets a little nervous. He goes from, 104 quarterback rating to like a 44, 64 quarterback rating. And that's not good enough. That's not going to be good enough to beat Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean it's tough though because he has all his toys, and the only game they lost all season when everyone's been healthy was against the Ravens, and that 3-game slide, they had a bunch of different guys hurt. So I mean, but I mean they are gonna. I would bet they're gonna be rusty coming in. So 9.5 is too much. The only way 9.5 happens is if there's turnovers. It's actually a line I've gone back and forth on because some of it is Green Bay comes off of just absolutely smoking Dallas, and so that's kind of a historically there's generally a drop off if you blow someone out like that next year, that next game. So it's one that I've gone back and forth because it's like I can kind of see how the Niners could come in and just mop them up, and then on the other hand, if they're too rusty, all of a sudden it's a really close game. In either scenario, I think the Niners win, though.
I give Green Bay a puncher's chance.
Sure.
That's about what I give them. Just not much more than that. Just a puncher's chance. I feel that they can score points, and they're playing really out of their minds lately.
Mm-hmm.
This is like, was it 6 games in a row where they've gone crazy, scored over 30 points even. Actually, let me check. I could say this for a fact right now. Schedule was all right, 48. They only won 17-9 the last week of the season against Buffalo or against the Bears, but 33. They lost to the Buccaneers 34-20.
Mm-hmm.
Lost to the Giants 24-22, 27-19. So realistically, but that was where everybody was still hurt.
Yeah.
So the Buccaneers and the Giants, they still had their running back hurt. But they were able to beat the Chargers, the Lions, and the Chiefs before losing those 2 games. And then 33, 17, and 48. I don't know.
No, I mean, you're not wrong. Like, they could be a puncher's chance, but it's like Little Mac from Tyson's Punch-Out, right? Like, you're the player's character in that game, and San Fran is Tyson. Can you beat him? Sure. But, man, you got your work cut out for you.
Yeah, you got to play like Buster Douglas. Get yourself, get in there. Like I said, you got to take advantage of the early points that they're going to give you. They're going to concede some early points in this as they shake the rust off. You got to take advantage of that. That's going to be a very, very big deal in general. So, and then, obviously, the Sunday games, the Detroit Lions versus the Buccaneers, 6.5-point favorite.
I don't see that. I think the Lions win. I don't see them covering, though. That one seems like a field goal kind of game, but only because that Lions defense gives up points, right? They do some things well, but they do have a tendency to, get some points out there. The Lions do have a top 5 scoring offense, though. So, I mean, they're going to put up points. So I took the over on this, but I took them not to cover. Depending on when you looked at the line, it was 6.5. I think it was 6.5 yesterday. But I feel like this is more like a 3 or 4 point game.
I don't think so. I think Detroit smokes them.
Yeah,
they played October 15th, and it was 20-6.
Sure.
And they were still kind of getting their feels about them. They beat the Packers. They crushed the Panthers, and then they were playing the Buccaneers, 20-6. And then the next week they lost to the Ravens, 38-6. So, they may have been looking ahead for that game, but I think the Buccaneers get smoked in this game. I just don't think they have enough. They played well against the Eagles. I feel like that was their Super Bowl. They always seem to play well against the Eagles in the playoffs.
Yep.
They won the game.
That's kind of true for both these teams, though. They both had big wins last week, right? For the Lions, it was a huge emotional win. And then for Green Bay, it was a blowout. And, when you historically, if there's a blowout or a huge emotional win, there's a letdown the following week. They're both going to have that this week. So, I mean, it could be a very interesting game. But again, Lions are at home. I think they're the better team roster wise. So, I mean, I think they get it done. And of course, it could easily be a touchdown, which would cover. It'll basically be a one score game. It's just, what is that one score is kind of the way I looked at it. But I mean, it could be a blowout if Baker comes out and does Baker things and throws, a couple of picks.
Well, and I think that the magic number to beat the Buccaneers is 21 points. You got to score 21 points.
Yeah, and the Lions will do that.
Yeah, and I think the Lions are going to score 35 points. I think they're going to get in that neighborhood, 30 plus, and I think they covered a 6.5. Much like Michael Smith over here said, he says definitely it doesn't matter on the Lions. It's going to be a romp. I believe it is going to be a romp. I think that Detroit's going to do everything they can to get to the NFC Championship game, and they're going to pray that Green Bay beats San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I saw, I was on Instagram today, and of course I saw, that the playoff hype video for San Francisco says, hey, do it for the Bay. And I'm like, you guys are playing Green Bay. Are you sure that's what you want to have your statement being? I understand they mean San Francisco Bay.
Sure.
But that's what your playoff thing is going to be. Do it for the Bay. You're playing up against Green Bay.
Yeah, right. The Battle of the Bays.
So, as Berman used to say, it's the Bay of Pigs. Yeah. So, anyways, as we're getting Paul mentioned what he's got, his predictions. He's got the Ravens big, the 49ers on the under, the Lions and the Bucks really close, and the Chiefs with the upset on the road against the Bills.
Wow.
That's a big one there.
Yeah.
That's a big one there. And of course, we haven't talked about that one. The Bills are a 2.5 point favorite with a 45.5. And of course, let's see. They don't have any there. I'm going to go look at the weather in Buffalo for this game. What's it look like?
It's supposed to be, there's supposed to be snow, to say the least. But I think the Bills do this. I think they cover. 2.5 is an easy cover. 45.5 is, if it's going to be snow on the field, I'm going to go under.
Actually, it's going to be cold, but it's only going to be 13-mile-per-hour winds with gusts up to 20, and no snow.
Oh, there's no snow.
Zero precipitation. Now, it's supposed to snow on Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
But not Sunday.
All right. So it'll be a clear
with
field.
4 to 8 inches on Friday day or Saturday day.
Yeah, but they get that.
Yeah, they're used to that. That's common.
Absolutely. Well,
So,
I mean,
Mama Bird says Ravens, Packers, Lions, Chiefs.
All right, got that upset for the Chiefs also.
And the Packers.
Oh, and the Packers, yeah. It's a bold prediction there.
That is bold. Way to go, Mom. Stick it out there.
Yep.
Put it on out there. You got to make it happen. So we'll be doing our picks a little bit later once Jay McLovin gets in town. He should be here within the next 10 minutes or so. So we're going to wait for that to occur. And then probably for the second half, I'll go upstairs since it's starting to get a little loud in here, I can imagine. You might have a hard time hearing me.
It's actually not bad. I can hear you pretty clear. So
all right, perfect. That's what I want to make sure of that. So I don't want to be the guy you can't hear and have to hit the mute button to stop
Yep.
the music and stuff.
No,
But-
fortunately, you can't really hear the music, so that saves us any copyright issues on YouTube, and and you don't really hear people. So, I mean, the mic on your headset seems to work pretty well as far as filtering out background noise.
Perfect. That's what I needed to hear. Then awesome. Then I'll stay down here and time to maybe order some more drinks. Does anybody have a drink of preference? Does anybody? If you were going to be at a bar, what would you drink? I want to hear from the people watching. What is it that you want to drink here for the Snow Load Day? We'll get some of those.
What do you got on tap behind you there?
So, as far as the IPAs go, I don't know. I don't really drink on tap. Of course, we have Guinness. Guinness is a staple. We have Yingling Lager, which is also the oldest brewery in America, right here, right up the street here in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. We have Big Wave, which is like a Kahuna beer. Lagunitas. I don't know if you guys know that. It's an IPA.
No.
Victory beer, which is a local beer to here.
All right.
Look at that, a Southern Comfort Old Fashioned.
Wow. Okay.
That's a drink.
Right?
That's got to be as sweet as like molasses. Mama says lager.
Yep.
Hey, listen, I'm a lager fan. I could drink lager. I don't typically drink beer though. So my drink is I like sweet tea and iced tea. We call it here TNT or otherwise dynamite.
Nice.
You know, so when you come into my location, and people have come from all across the country now that I say this is my living room, Dolan's Bar is a melting pot of drinkers. Just ask for the PSG special or dynamite, and they'll know what you're talking about.
Nice.
A Navy rum.
Okay.
Long Island iced tea. Long Island iced tea. It's a little too early for the Long Island iced teas. I'm gonna slow down on that. A little too heavy.
Yeah, it's only 10 a.m. here, so I probably wouldn't be doing a Long Island this early either.
Now, normally I have before 11 o'clock in the morning. I am always doing Bloody Marys.
Okay.
That's my breakfast of champions.
I got you.
There he is.
There he is.
Fresh.
Well, how is it going, fellas?
Fresh from getting his head examined. Jay McLovin here with us today. Jay, we're having a snow load up here today. What is your drink of preference?
Oh, well, I've given up my drink of preference. The government has me on a no drink. But back in the day, Jack and Coke all the way, baby. Simple, clean, neat. Jack and Coke.
Jack and Coke.
Simple. Little Jack Daniels, little Coca-Cola. Simple guy.
So I will tell you a story about my run-ins with Mr. John Daniels and Coca-Cola. I only drank it one time in my life, and that was the day I got out of the Navy. And I took the train home, and I took the train with some guy who was also on my ship. And he's like, I know you. Let's drink. And he fed me Jack and Cokes the entire train ride back. It was a 6-hour train ride because to go from Virginia Beach, I was stationed in Virginia Beach. You had to go to Richmond before you went up. So you had to go to one and then go to the other. So I wound up 6 hours on a train drinking Jack and Coke. And I don't mess with Mr. Daniels anymore.
That's fair. That was probably a rough trip. Yeah, I'm with McLovin here. I generally go with a easy drink if I'm drinking, something mixed, and that, I do a rum and Coke, and so I'll go that route. But
now I will tell you though, hey, I heard you say something about Bloody Marys. Now that's what the wife likes to drink. The wife when we go out, she'll have a Bloody Mary or a margarita, but typically Bloody Mary. And It's like a salad with liquor. It's weird.
I mean,
well, that's why I do it for breakfast.
And had I known we were going this route for Friday's show, my coffee wouldn't have had normal creamer in it. I probably would have went.
Oh, you put a little Bailey's in there, would you?
I would have thrown some Jameson too. Like let's do this. If we're gonna do it, let's do it.
Yeah, the Jameson's the sweetener, and the Bailey's is the cream.
That's right. That's right. Here we go.
That's the way it works. But so that's why I love doing. I love doing some of these at the bar because I mean I'm a big fan of Screwball. I like the peanut butter whiskey, and on occasion I will do the peanut butter whiskey with some Bailey's in it. And
Okay.
you mix that up, and that's like a creamy peanut butter.
I got you.
Yum stuff.
God,
It gives you. It'll
no
give you
offense, man, but you're
heartburn.
such a female with your drinks. It's ridiculous.
Have you ever tried it? Well, you can't even drink. So what do you tell me? You're wearing your skirt. You're wearing your skirt. You're wearing your skirt because you can't ever take it off. You can't even take your skirt off.
Hey, you know what was interesting? I remember about 2 years ago, I went to a concert and it was at the House of Blues, and so you sit down, it's a swanky little place, whatever. Anyway, the wife goes and gets me a cocktail, brings it back, I drink it. I said, man, I have one more. She's like, yeah, that'll be $23, please. I'm like, well, what the hell? I said, that's a fifth. Oh no, we're good. I'll wait till later.
Yeah, right.
It just blows my mind, like these venues and what they charge for their alcohol. It's like you're literally drinking fifths every time you go to the bar.
That's drinking.
Without drinking a fifth.
That's drinking in Vegas anymore. Like I ordered a beer at the pool. I want to say we were at the Bellagio, and it was a beer at the pool. We bought a bucket, and it was like $15 a beer is how it worked out for the bucket. So when they're like, "Oh, here's your bill," and we're like, "Oh,
hell no!"
God forbid you try to bring your own; they won't let you anymore either.
Yeah,
they won't.
Yeah, you can't.
Hey, you know what? I remember one time I went to a Two Live. Now I'm dating myself. This is many decades ago, but I remember I went to a Two Live Crew concert in Miami, and I sat down on this couch, and the lady said, to sit on this particular couch, you got to pay $2,000. I said, $2,000. I said, have you lost your damn mind? I said, I'll stand my ass up.
Oh yeah. That's full on. Color me up. I'm going home.
Oh man, dude! When she told me that, I almost had a heart attack. I said, "Well, you're not going to charge me for sitting down for 2 minutes, are you? Because this is crazy." But I guess that was our bottle service area, and then when you're in the bottle service area, well, that's the high roller area, and I definitely was not a high roller.
She's like, you know what? We're not going to charge you the full price, but we are going to prorate it, and that 2 minutes is still like.
Yeah, and I tell you, that's. The VIP areas are never worth it at the club. No.
Yeah,
they are never worth it
unless you get comped. That's the only way it makes sense.
Right. Or you have that type of money to just not worry about it. I mean, I will say. So as I was down in Tampa, we deal with a certain tailgate group, and their office is kind of the penthouse in Tampa. And they have a VIP area, which is nice that I get to walk in there like that as the VIP because, I was all painted up, obviously. And I'm like, I can't be painted up in this bar. I can't be painted up here. Like, this is not the spot for me to be. But I was. And it was fun to be there for a minute in the VIP area. Nobody bothers me. I get to do my thing. Everybody's like, oh, man, I know you. I saw you on TV. Yeah, that's great. Man, you really looked miserable in that picture. Thanks, buddy.
You're like, cool. I felt miserable in that picture. Yep.
So, anyways, listen, we are at the top of the hour, so we are going to take our station identification break, and then we're going to do ahead and break down all of these games. But first, we're going to get back to, we waited for McLovin for this. We're going to talk about the Baseball Hall of Fame. and who's going to get in and who's not going to get in, because McLovin almost had a conniption yesterday about that. So
That's right. We got to start that fire.
yeah, exactly. So we're going to go ahead and bring that back up again right after these messages. So please stay tuned.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, get us any.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you, your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Supporting the needs of our veterans. That's the goal of all of us at Team AmVets. Like Mitch, Carlos, and Kevin from our Welcome Home team that brings furniture to our vets.
We are Team AmVets.
Or Linda from our thrift stores who brings you great bargains every day.
I am Team AmVets.
And John, who picks up your thrift store donations that support California veterans programs.
I am Team AmVets.
Visit our website or a Team AmVets thrift store to donate or shop today.
Join the team!
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
And we are back with our snow load day on the East Coast. Yes, that's right. If you're in Philadelphia and you want to come hang out and watch the podcast live, I am here live in my living room at Dolan's Bar. Come on out, have a drink. We're having a good time here. I got my drink and my backer. We're having a good day today.
So what are you drinking at this point?
So obviously I drink my Dynamite, which is sweet tea, vodka, and iced tea.
Yep.
And then I am also, I drink what I am. I am a screwball drinker.
There you go. Just joining in. There you go.
There we
Sounds
go.
appropriate for this guy. Sounds appropriate. I'm surprised he didn't have a couple of Shirley Temples is what he really drinks. He just shows the props.
Again, you're the one with the skirt on. You're the one with the skirt on. You're the one with the skirt on.
Hey, listen, I got a huge skirt on, but I'm just trying to say, but at least
like
I keep it real, Pags. I'm not out here fronting. You front, okay? I got a screwball. I got it, and then behind the scene, he drinking Shirley Temples. I don't do that crap.
Oh man!
Exactly. I'm just going to let it, because stupidity sounds the same when it comes out of somebody the right way. Just let it waft. Just let it waft out there. It's all out there. There it is.
Oh man.
So, but anyways, here let's talk. Let's go back to game one. Let's go do a further breakdown of this Houston-Baltimore game. You know, obviously they played each other in the season opener.
Yep.
And I'm not exactly sure who won this game. Let me see.
I feel like they're different teams at this point anyway.
25-9.
They really are different teams.
Yeah, they're wildly different teams from then to today.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Tank Dell and Noah Brown, I think Noah Brown might be playing, but Tank Dell for sure is not playing. So they have changed their receiving options at least a little bit up.
Yeah, well, and when they played each other before, that was so early in the season. I mean,
absolutely.
I would say CJ has definitely grown a lot since those early games.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, they actually lost the first 2 games of the season. So they've won 10 of their last 15. Really, 11 of their last 16.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot about CJ, but Will Anderson, he was drafted the same draft, and look what he's done on that defensive side. I mean, he's quietly under the radar doing a really good job over there for those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was the next pick after CJ. So I mean, it was they had a lot of things to grow as a team, and I would say you really couldn't have asked for them to do better than they've done. Especially with as many rookies as young as that team is, rookie head coach, like as much as everything was lined up for them to kind of fail, they definitely grew how you would hope they would. And they've been balling out. So,
I mean, that's D'Amico Ryans. It's the first year ever that a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback ever made it to the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah.
And obviously, they made a big splash at the draft.
Yes.
When they traded up to get the 3rd pick in the draft after taking the 2nd pick in the draft. They're like, these are the 2 guys I want. We don't need anybody else to get them. This is how I want to build my franchise starting from here.
Yep.
Right.
And he did well. I mean, he did well with that. Like I said last week, the winner of that game was, I know that they're not supposed to talk about the playoffs, but the winner of that game was going to win Coach of the Year. I think that they say D'Amico Ryans is Coach of the Year.
Oh, I agree with that. I could see him as being Coach of the Year this year. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, when you take a team that's literally the laughingstock of the NFL, completely do a 180 on the culture and the drafting and the execution and the play calling. I mean, how was that not Coach of the Year? Literally.
Absolutely.
That's so, and I got to feel like that you have to take that completely into consideration. There were other coaches who may have had better seasons, but I can't think of one. Maybe Cleveland. Cleveland's coach, with all of the adversity they faced this year, to be able to do that.
Been through a lot. That team has been through. I mean, with everything that's going on with Deshaun's injuries, trying to bring in a guy like Flacco, they've had a lot of injuries in that. So they've had a lot of things they've had to deal with internally. So I think Stefanski's done a really good job.
But the same thing with Harbaugh. Harbaugh in Baltimore also had a very good season. I mean, you could say, hey, well, he had Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's an MVP. Lamar Jackson wasn't an MVP last year. He's probably going to be the comeback player of the year this year.
No way.
That's where. Who do you think will be?
DeMar Hamlin is a slam dunk. He died on the field. He stepped back on the field.
But is that enough? I mean, is that really? I mean, look, I know I'm not trying to take anything away about the severity of his injury, but at the same time, I mean, he scarcely played. It's not like he came back and he was like a big focal point. No.
He barely played. But remember, this is a voting game. This is a voting game, and so that wins the votes.
Died on the field. Yes, I get that.
Yeah, I mean, he wins the votes in that way. Now, if you were talking about, actually coming back from something, sure, Lamar could definitely get that because he was injured. He comes back from injury, absolutely balls out. I mean, like if you're using it in actual gameplay parameters, then I'm with you. Lamar could totally win that award.
The one thing I like about Lamar this year versus any other year with him is every year up till now, he has always had, the security blanket of Mark Andrews. That's his number one guy. That's just who he goes to. And when he went down, he was able to, incorporate and get his second, third reads more advanced to where he could get other guys involved like Zay Flowers and company. So he's really improved in that aspect a lot over what he's done previously. So that's one of the things I really like about Lamar Jackson, is how he's improved as a quarterback in terms of how he sees the field and not just one specific guy.
Well, and he's very accurate, right? So, I mean, when you look at him early in his career, people would, say, oh, he's a running back that can throw the ball around a little bit. And he's really evolved into a good quarterback. Still has elite abilities to extend plays with his legs and run and all of that. But if you shut that down and you make him beat you from the pocket, he can do that. Like, he's a good enough quarterback at this point in his career that he can absolutely win if you keep him inside the pocket. So, whereas early in his career, if you did that, he had to beat you with his arm. It was inconsistent. Like, he could do it occasionally, but it wouldn't be consistent. And now if you bottle him up, he can still make those reads downfield and complete the ball. So it's been cool to watch him evolve his game, because that doesn't always happen for the hyper athletic guys that rely on their legs. It's cool to see him come about.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that, like we talk about losing receivers and carrying on. CJ Stroud, I was just checking, Noah Brown is still on the IR, so he won't be available. I mean, you lose two out of you lose your top two receivers. You go to your third receiver and you make him, basically look like your top receiver. Just the evolution of that and how he's able to do it with other wide receivers as well that he's got over there that's taking the place of those guys. That's just remarkable, because a lot of times that would be the death sentence to a team. Is if you lose your top two wideouts, you're pretty much just kind of done.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm looking forward to this game. I think it could be a battle. It should be a really cool one to watch. Mostly, I'm just looking forward to 4 actual good games this week.
Right. No, right. Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, if Texans are able to get past, this Baltimore team, holy cow, man. I mean, it really does change everything. I mean, literally, if they can get past Baltimore, I got to say they could win a Super Bowl. I mean, because the Baltimore, like we all know, is a very formidable team. I mean, probably one of the more complete teams out there other than San Francisco. So if you get past Baltimore, well, hell.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right, real quick, guys, before we get any further on this. So, have either one of you ever heard of the sport hurling? Not curling, hurling.
Yeah, I think I knew a lot of people that played that in their 20s after leaving the bar.
I honestly, if that's a sport, I've never heard of it as a sport, but yeah
me either.
So actually, because I've been getting contacted by the Philadelphia Hurling and Camogie Club. I did find out that hurling and camogie, hurling is the men's sport, camogie is the women's sport.
Okay.
Well, it sounds like camogie, right? I mean, it's
what. So what are we doing? What is this sport?
So it's like a field hockey of sorts.
Okay.
It's extreme croquet. I gotcha.
It might be. They've asked me to come and do their winter league, so I may go out there and give it a shot. See what's happening at.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
At the Philadelphia Hurling and Camogie Club.
So you'll be in the camogie side then.
You're wearing the skirt, Jay. You're wearing the skirt. Just
listen, I think I can take out those camogie girls, man.
I wear pants. You wear a skirt. We get it.
I don't know if you could, McLovin. They got sticks, right? So, I mean.
And some tells me their stick is bigger than yours.
Ireland, we wear some good kilts out there, so I've got practice.
The Irish don't wear kilts. They wear skirts because they dress up as women.
Shut your mouth, Pag.
You know, it's funny. Pag's
sitting in an Irish bar.
We're gonna get a live video of you getting beat up at the bar.
That might be fun.
They're killing me.
There'd be so many views. It'd be amazing.
I probably wouldn't make it. My cardio is terrible. Those girls would just beat the crap out of me. Who am I kidding?
100%.
I'll be dropping. I actually played goalie for a professional indoor lacrosse for practice.
Oh yeah,
And,
how was
it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I didn't get a lot of shots. I did save a few. I did look pretty good for a minute, but then
then that was a
I had
wrap.
never held a lacrosse stick before in my life.
Lacrosse is a damn hard sport. I don't care what anybody says. It's a hard damn sport. It's fast. It's quick. It's physical. I mean, it's not easy. People think it's easy to catch it in that little. It's not easy. It's hard. Like, if it was a baseball glove, no problem. But that little. Now they do have a little bit more of a pocket. My stepdaughter played female lacrosse at the high school, and you don't get much of a pocket in the female version of lacrosse, but in the men's you get more of a pocket, so it is a little bit easier to catch it. But still, but the way they throw it, I don't know how fast it is, but it seems like it's going at least 90 miles an hour when they flip that little ball. I mean, it's crazy.
The guy who was shooting on me could shoot up to about 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, it's insane.
I had to Google this hurling thing, right? So, I mean, it's kind of lacrosse-ish, but instead of actually having a pocket, it's just a giant spoon, basically. And so you would definitely get beat up, McLovin, because that is a solid wood bat, basically.
Let me tell you something. I'm not getting beat up. I'm just going to fall down. Before they get to me, I'm just going to fall down. I give up. Bam! Well, hey, but I'll tell you this: when he gets up, when they pass me, I'll be talking again. I'll be talking some bad shit.
They're just going to be sitting there, just. Oh man!
On the local news, 51-year-old bearded guy gets beat up by 4 lacrosse girls.
Right.
That's it. Well, I mean, I'm excited to go give it a shot. If you're gonna give me a sport to try, I'm willing to try it. Yeah.
I mean, it looks like it's pretty cool. It'd be kind of fun.
I'll beat people with the stick.
100%.
Beat them with the stick. Beat them with the stick.
Hey, if the talent isn't there, become the enforcer. That's the key. You're like, I'm not good at any parts of this, but I can go hit somebody.
And I imagine it's got to be a fairly long field they're playing on, right? Probably like a soccer style length of field.
Yeah, it looked like a soccer field, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of running, man.
Probably much smaller goal.
Yeah.
I would imagine, yeah. Yeah, because the ball looks like it's about the size of a softball. So.
I'll be honest, I'll do that frisbee golf because it doesn't require a lot of running or any of that kind of running. You just do a little frisbee thing, which, pretty good.
So basically, you're good at table sports? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, I'm great at table sports. Awesome at table sports. But just
like Parcheesi.
Parcheesi is a great sport.
Oh, man. I'll throw down on some shuffleboard at the bar, though. Not going to lie.
You know what, though? But that's a lot harder than it looks.
Love the longboard. I love a longboard.
Absolutely.
A longboard is yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I can shoot pool. Like a champ.
Yep.
I play darts in a dart league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that shuffleboard, you have to have a really good, it looks so easy, but then you try to play it and it's like, no, hell no. It's hard. It's hard to get to just stop right there.
Absolutely. And every board's different. So there's this little town in Eastern Washington called Roslyn, right? And there's this old bar. I believe it was a mining town. And this bar has been around since the late 1800s, I think.
So let me ask before you keep going about the story, and I want you to continue the story. Do they have urinals at the bar?
They do not.
Okay, but you know what I'm talking about. Those old bars used to have urinals. You didn't have to leave the bar. You would pee right there at the bar and still drink.
Yep. Nope. It's so it doesn't have that. It doesn't have the spittoon trays either. But they do have a shuffleboard table from the 30s in there, right? And it's full length tournament style, like awesome. But it also hasn't been serviced forever, so there is a distinct home field advantage on this board, right? Because there's some warps to it, and so if you're on the far end of the bar and you're shooting, you can actually hang the puck all the way off the edge and it'll come back in. And it was funny. My buddy Scott and I were there drinking, and these guys came in and they're like, "Hey, we're playing for beers." And I'm like, "Yeah, we are." And because we play this thing all the time, right? And so they end up buying us, multiple rounds. And then they finally beat us. I think we were like 5 games in, and they finally beat us. And we're like, "All right, we owe you a beer." And, they're sitting there with their beer, and they're like, "This is the best tasting beer ever because F you guys." That's fair. That's fair.
Good win, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for the other beers. They didn't want to play anymore. They got the one win. They're like, we're tapping out.
Yeah, we're good. We're out of here. We know when to quit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we play American darts here.
Yeah.
We play American darts here, so we're playing baseball all the time. I grew up playing English darts, so I was always playing cricket. So it's a whole different skill set when you're playing with like long flights and long shoots and stuff like that in comparison to the wooden darts.
Right.
Oh, sure.
So, but I'm not so bad. I am consistent, and we go by handicaps, which makes it a little bit easier for us. So,
and darts is another thing, man. That's a whole nother skill set in and of itself to just. Even it's so easy, but it's a skill, man. Honestly, I have a lot of respect for people that can accurately put a dart where they say they're gonna put it. Because for me, it's not. I thought it was easy. It's not as easy. I can get it on the board. I can't always say it's gonna go where it's gonna go, but I'll at least get it on the the circle.
For me, I'm wildly inconsistent. I'll have games where I'm dialed in, and no problem, and then. I'll come back and play, a week later. And like if we're playing cricket, for example, I just can't hit an 18. Just, I can load up a 1, right? I can
all day, every day. Hey, look, be lucky. Look, I was talking to a friend of mine next to the dartboard, but maybe about 5 feet away. And my wife is over there with her little girlfriends. They're throwing darts. All I know is I got a dart stuck in my back. I turn around to my wife. I said, "What's wrong with you?"
She's like, "Nailed it."
Where are you aiming? Where are you aiming? Like, because I don't even know how this is close to the dartboard.
She hit exactly where she was aiming.
And those damn things hurt.
No doubt.
Go figure. And then people wonder why you need help.
Oh, it's a laundry list. It's a laundry list. But at least there's help.
Exactly. Exactly. Never turn down the help that you can get.
Oh man! So since you're at the bar, we went out to dinner last night with some friends, and we went to Boston's Pizza, right? National chain, whatever. It's okay. It's okay. Like it's nothing special. It's all right. But it was close to our friend's house, so that's where we went. But the one thing that they do have is, if you go to a bar, you order a beer. Usually it's like a normal pint, and then you can get like a 22, right? That's their bigger version. So I didn't actually look at the menu. I just saw that they had an 805, which is a lager, right? And I was like, "Hey, yeah, bring that." And they're like, "What size?" And I was like, "Oh, whatever your biggest one, right?" Because usually that's just the 22. They bring out this 32-ounce mug. I was like, "Oh, I mean, okay, yeah, like let's do that."
Perfect. That's my size.
Right? Exactly.
If it's bigger than my head, it's right what I want.
Exactly. Comes with its own pump. Let's do this.
Sweet Jesus. All right.
All right. I mean, we should probably talk about sports, right?
I thought we were sports and beer and bar. And that's part of all sports. There's no better sport than drinking. There's no better sport than drinking.
That is true. Yep.
So let's transition. Let's transition. I was going to transition to later, but let's transition now. The official baseball Hall of Fame ballot was out there, and I did not receive my voting thing because I'm not a big enough writer, because I don't write at all. Actually, I just talk. I talk a lot. But anyways,
yeah, you do.
Yeah, I know. We know we do. So, and I know I'm not sure what got under Jay's skin so badly. Oh, it was the Bambino. We were talking about how.
Well, it's just the fact that if we really want to be honest, we were talking about roids versus non-roid statistical categories and how it was disrespectful to, let's say, Hank Aaron, who was the previous home run at 715, and then you get Bonds all roided up, surpassing the 715. And I was making a point like, all I'm saying is put an asterisk next to it, designating that it was on roids, and there is a difference between a roided stat and a non-roided stat. That's where I had the issue. Not that he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. The man belongs in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely. I don't dispute that. I just dispute the record and how it's not the same. It's just
I guess you could just do an era, right? That just as a stat sheet, be like, this is the steroid era. Throw the pitchers that you knew were in there also, right?
Yeah, you'd have to.
But how do we know? They didn't have the testing. They tested for major drugs. They tested for stop. Let me talk.
Sure.
They tested for major drugs. You weren't allowed to do amphetamines. You weren't allowed to do cocaine. You weren't allowed to do, although they did LSD, because they couldn't really test for that either without doing the hair follicle test. All of those things, barbiturates and stuff like that, those were what they were testing for. Nobody was testing for steroids back then. That wasn't really a big deal. So we don't know. We don't really know.
See, but that's the key right there. Let me
continue. Let me continue. They changed the rules. So when Barry Bonds was doing the cream and the clear,
right,
they didn't have rules in there saying that these things were bans.
Yeah.
They banned them after the fact.
Yeah.
So how do we know that he wasn't doing the same thing? And that's the problem I have with this.
Why is it a problem for you? Why is it a problem that you want to automatically accuse somebody that they could possibly have been doing it? That's just bad reporting. It's bad reporting. It's bad ethical stuff. Because you know what? I wouldn't want somebody saying, well, we didn't have it back then, so maybe Jay McLovin was. No, I'm not a doper. How are you going to tell me or even accuse me of it? That's like accusing my character without having proper evidence. That's just bad reporting.
Truth of the matter is that at the time you didn't break the rules.
True.
And at the time he wasn't breaking the rules. So he didn't do anything
wrong.
He
was breaking the rules when he was doing steroids. They all were.
Stop. I'm talking about Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron could have been doing it, and he wasn't breaking the rules because there was no rule saying he couldn't do this.
Sure.
Your argument is like a two-sided brick. It doesn't have weight. It doesn't have measure because you have nothing to support it. My point is this: you can't accuse a man or tell a man if the man is out there doing 715 and he has an unblemished record. You can't then go back there and try to say, well, the man could have been. Because that's just bad. It's almost like negligence. It's negligence to do that to somebody. That's like going to the court of law.
So, but what I'm getting at,
go to a trial.
What I'm getting at is that baseball did not have the rules in place to stop people from using steroids until afterwards.
And you're insinuating that Hank Aaron could have done steroids without evidence of him doing steroids.
You're right. That's not what my implementation is. What I'm saying is that I'm implying that it was not illegal to use steroids when baseball wasn't checking them.
Hey, I gotta
When
take this call
baseball
real quick,
chose to.
Pax. I'll be right back.
Okay. As that. I'm gonna remove
Well,
him
there
for
you
the
go.
moment.
There you go. You got him spun up enough. He's like, you know what? I got this call. My phone didn't ring, but I'm going to hold my phone to my ear.
Exactly. But you understand what I'm talking about here. Like, it
No, for
was
sure.
not illegal what they were doing.
No,
They
exactly. So, I
weren't
mean,
testing for it, so it's not illegal. The moment it became illegal was after the fact. Oh, they were all doing steroids, blah, blah, blah. So was 90% of the people playing baseball.
exactly. No, I mean, that's the thing. That's why I say, like, if you did like a steroid era, because you can kind of surmise that most of those guys were using it, whether they got caught or not. And then before that era, I mean, you have no idea one way or the other. I mean, so it's not like you're necessarily implicating people that they did do it. It wasn't tested. So had they done it or not, we'll never know.
Right. And that's kind of what I'm getting at is like that we have no idea whether, I mean, who knows? Babe Ruth could have been the inventor of steroids.
It's
We'd have
possible.
no idea. We'd have no idea.
Sure. And even if he was, there was nothing that said you couldn't do it anyway.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I'm getting at here. Mark McGwire, never got accused. Well, he always got accused of steroids, but never got confirmed. He never pissed hot.
Yeah. No, but you always kind of thought he did because you remember seeing him with the A's. He wasn't, jacked, and then all of a sudden his arms are cannons, and you're like, okay, like maybe maybe something changed, right?
Well, yeah, I get that. Same thing. Hey, listen, your head ain't supposed to grow, but Barry Bonds' head grew. And again, they didn't have the substances banned, and he was able to get away with it. So he gets away with it. That all being said, listen, the rules. This is how the Patriots won a couple of Super Bowls. The rules were not defined. So because we ain't breaking a rule, unethical, maybe, but who says ethics? Where's it say you have to be ethical in the rule book?
That's right. It's that whole if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
That's exactly correct. That's exactly correct.
And that's true in anything, really. I mean, you're always playing around in the gray area, right? It's, if you're out there driving on the highway and you're doing 64 in a 60, guess what? Are you going to get a ticket? Maybe not. Probably not. The cop probably doesn't care. Are you breaking the law? Sure, but you're in that gray area where you could probably get away with it. And that's where
you can go all the way up to about 69 and a half. Once you hit 70, you're getting pulled over. 69 and a half? I don't think so just yet.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, so it's all playing in the gray area. That's really the thing.
And that's kind of what I'm telling Jay here. That just because they didn't, like I said, it could have been that Babe Ruth. I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna make your head explode, Jay. That Babe Ruth could have been the inventor. Could have been the inventor of steroids. I don't have you muted. You have yourself muted.
Yeah, that's my professionalistic attitude. Hey, look, no, you know what's interesting to me? And think about this for a minute, guys. Think about how crazy this is now. And I understand Barry Bonds has the record, all this thing. But do you know how hard it was probably for the Bambino? And we know this, it's a scientific fact that he went to the plate multiple times, drunk as hell. Do you know how hard it is to locate a ball and knock it over the fence, drunk as hell? They said he couldn't knock it over the green monster. He was the first one to knock it over the green monster. Now, could you imagine when you got a skill set that is so good that even when you're drunk, you're still cranking out home runs? Could you imagine him on steroids and what he could have done? I'm just saying. I mean, think about that for a minute. Had Bambino been in shape, because we all know that Babe Ruth was out of shape. That dude was way out of shape, but he's still cranking him. He's cranking him like it's yesterday's business. Him on steroids? Oh my God, that would have been crazy. And we don't even know.
He probably would have been too fat. He probably wouldn't have worked out.
Oh, you're right. That's a good point. No, you're right. And the thing about it is, too, now that Major League Baseball, we all know this, has merged the records of the Negro Leagues in with Major League Baseball. But the thing about the Negro Leagues, they didn't even record half the home runs. There's only a certain number of home runs that were actually recorded. And Josh Gibson, as we know, if you know your baseball history, Josh Gibson was one of the most prolific of all of the Negro League hitters. And we don't even know truly what his actual number was. It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy, right?
The only thing I have
not in the Hall of Fame.
The only thing I have from the Negro Leagues is that there was one guy. Was it Satchel Paige that struck out 27? He struck out 27.
Yeah,
he struck out all 27. That nobody got a hit in that game. He pitched a perfect game, striking out 27.
Mm-hmm.
That will never, ever be done again.
No, I can't imagine. And especially not in Pags, we can't even get pitchers to go 9 innings anymore when they used to be able to go 9 innings. Well, that was almost kind of more commonplace. Now it's, hey, look, if I get 6 out of my starter, I'm doing damn good.
Yeah, basically you hit 100 pitches and they pull you out.
Yeah, I stand that. I cannot stand that even a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like, as soon as you hit that 100 pitch, they're like, okay, you're out of here. It's like, well, but I'm pitching good. Doesn't matter. It's like,
and Pags, to go back to your previous question of is baseball getting watered down? I think it is. And the reason why I say that is I saw, and look, if you go on ESPN, you'll see it there too. They're talking about, well, has Ohtani done enough to get into the Hall of Fame? The dude's only been in the league like 2 years. I understand how good he is. Well, come on. He's doing plenty body of work, and you're already talking Hall of Fame. Think about that. I mean, how watered down have we come that you can only do a couple of seasons and we're already talking Hall of Fame?
They're just talking that he's making so much money off the field, and sponsors are like, you know what? That's just the, you're in. You're in. You did enough.
And again, if that's a qualification, then we damn sure know it's watered down.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Well, that's what I said. It's the Hall of Somewhat Good. It's not the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
It's the Hall of Somewhat Good. Because, like I said, the moment they put in Scott Rowland, he's only somewhat good. He's not even great. That's the problem I have with the Hall of Fame, the Baseball Hall of Fame.
I agree.
It stinks out loud. It stinks out loud. And until they change it, until they figure out a better way to do this, once they start to put the people in that need to be in, and listen, I'm not talking about Pete Rose. I appreciate the fact that they're going to wait for him to die. Because, like I said, he's an asshole. He's an asshole.
Man, you're such a meaty man. Come on. This ain't the Hall of Personality. It's a Hall of how great were you in the lead. When you're 3,000, whatever, and you're the number 1 hit king in the world, let the damn man in. And regardless of whether you like him or not, Pags, I don't like you, but I know you're a damn good sportscaster. Okay? No, for real. I love Pags. I think Pags, and Pags, I love you. You're great and insightful. You're entertaining. And as a podcaster, I think you're one of the best out there. I don't like you, but I'm not going to keep. But watch this. If we had a podcaster Hall of Fame, I'd put Pags in there.
I think it's penis envy. I think he's got penis envy. He's just jealous that I am not Irish.
Well, no. So, I mean, it just means it's cold there, and since it's a skirt, there's not a lot to keep the cold. So it's kind of an idiot.
There you go.
No, but the point we're getting at is, seriously, your personality shouldn't keep you out of the Hall of Fame. It should be. I agree with that. It should be what you bring to the table.
However,
it's keeping them out.
So I mean, it was. All right, the gambling thing. He was the first one to be with the gambling thing. And then his apologies were not contrite.
Yeah.
It's like he's been a douche. So, you know what? When you put everything on the table, Paul Giamatti, it was Paul Giamatti that said this, right?
Yeah, it was. It was Giamatti that,
said, I am not ever allowing you in.
Yeah.
They are trusting. They are going by his legacy, not Pete Rose's legacy. And that's what they're honoring. And I can appreciate that because, listen, Pete Rose did nothing to honor Paul Giamatti in that. And you got to. You have to.
That's what I'm saying. We're basing the Hall of Fame based on, did he make us like him? Did he make us do this? Did he give us the warm fuzzies? And if a warm fuzzy gets you in the Hall of Fame, well, that's complete horse crap.
Well, no, but that's not what it is.
Like Pete Rose to know that he was the best in the game and know that he belonged. You just don't. I don't like that. I hear you.
So you're not wrong, but what's keeping him out is the fact that he did something that was blatantly against the rules.
And again, if you want to know, I get that, Bo. As a manager, I get that. If you don't want to let him in as a manager, I'm totally down. I'm totally with that. But if don't do it as a player, because he did do it as a player, at least what we know of, right?
Well, the thing is it's the same league. It's not like it's the league of managers and the league, it's the same league. So they're going to keep you out of the books, period. And then when his apologies are like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry, like that doesn't really hit very well.
Well, and Pags, I'm surprised your first comment is, well, we know that he bet on baseball, but we don't know who over else bet on baseball, so maybe that should be thought about. I mean, it's the same damn argument.
It is. It is.
Hey, listen, Michael Jordan, on that thing, Michael Jordan shouldn't be in at the Basketball Hall of Fame because he bet on basketball so much so that he had to play a different sport.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Hey, no offense.
I mean, let's play for real.
You know what my real team is? How the hell is Dolly Parton in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when she plays country music? Can somebody explain that one to me?
Hey, listen, not only that, I mean, Wayne Gretzky and his wife both were betting millions of dollars to Rick Tocchet.
Yeah.
There's been gambling throughout wherever, going all the way back to Shoeless Joe Jackson, who didn't bet, who's being held out because he didn't bet.
Exactly. I mean, and think about this. Damn good well, these players are out here betting. Some of them are getting caught. Some of them are not getting caught. Right? Calvin Ridley was probably one of the most recent ones that I could think of that was betting. Right? I don't know, man. I mean, I get it. But I think all the sports are toxic in terms of that level, or they all have their own toxicities at that level.
Sure.
And hey, Tyler, the Eagles are out, so I don't know what the hell you're talking about. They made it to the playoffs. They're out. Are you good, Tyler? Did you get that? Do you feel good now that you put it up there? That I put it up there for you? The Eagles are not good.
Hey, don't get mad. See, that's why Pags hasn't hit indifferent yet. Pags is still in the hate mode.
Right.
I'm not going to worry about Pags until he gets indifferent, when that doesn't bother him anymore.
That meme still gets sent to me. Like, hey, I had a friend of mine in Costa Rica who is not any bit a fan of sports. She goes, your meme got put in a site that I go to every day. That my meme made it to Costa Rica.
Nice.
Hey, I don't know. I mean, to me, that's a pretty cool thing.
International. I am international. This face is international, is what I'm saying.
It's internationally ugly. That's what it is.
Hey, that's okay. Nobody's seeing your skirt outside of Houston.
That's not true. You don't know that. Been all over the world, Patty. See a lot of crazy stuff in my life. Done a lot of crazy things.
See, Paul, you can't guarantee that. You can't guarantee that because you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know that for certain. You don't know. And that's the hard part. That's the reason why. Listen, Pete Rose got caught in the 7-digit owed to a bookie situation at a time when there was no 6 digits and 7 digits being owed to a bookie that was in professional sports. So that's part of the reason for this. Listen, it's all legal now. You're not allowed. If you're in the NFL, you're not allowed to bet NFL games. You can bet everything else, though, if you want to.
But not on company property, so you got to go home first.
Yeah, you gotta go.
Or just be in your car. Get off of the parking lot. Yeah, you got to drive. You got to drive out of the parking lot.
Exactly.
But why would you even do that? I already had on my bets pre-done either A, before I got there, or I already got a bookie that's making bets for me while I'm not even on company. I don't. There's ways you can look. Most of these damn NFL people, they got staffs. They got little entourages. I didn't have my entourage making my bets for me off of grounds.
Yeah. No, exactly. The fact that they were doing it in-house, you're just like, what are you doing? Like, come on, guys.
Come
Look
on,
at it.
dumbass.
If Gilbert
Come on,
Arenas can
dumbass.
bring a weapon into the locker room, all bets are off.
All right. So with 15 minutes left to go in this show, we got to pick the games because there's games this weekend. We got to pick them.
We got to pick games.
Yep.
Yes, we do.
Texas Ravens. Ravens are a 9.5-point favorite, and the over/under being 43.5.
Go ahead, man.
No, what was the over under?
43.5.
I don't think they're going to hit the over under. Obviously, the Ravens are the favorite. I would go under. I really just believe in this Texas team. I understand. My brain tells me that the Baltimore Ravens have the better defense, and that's what's going to be paramount. But I'm going to stick with D'Amico on this. I'm going to go with the underdog. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make this my underdog pick, and it's going to be Texans.
All right. I'm going to go with the Ravens. I'll take the over, but I'm going to take them not to cover.
Okay. I like the Ravens here to cover and over.
Okay.
I think they're going to pull away at the end. It's going to be like 34 to like 20. And it's going to be like they're going to get that extra touchdown that's not going to be
Right. That garbage time touchdown or what have you.
something like that.
Yeah.
Game 2, 8:15 on Saturday. Packers against the 49ers. 49ers are a 9.5-point favorite. 50.5 is the over/under.
Yeah, let me go ahead and say I'm taking the 49ers. And I'm not even worried about that game. 49ers, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll go 49ers here. I'll take the over. And
Yeah.
I think it's going to be kind of like what you were predicting with the Ravens. I think there's going to be some garbage time points that allows them to cover that 9.5.
I like the Packers with the points. I also like it over. I
Okay.
think this is going to be a 37-34 game.
Okay.
Like I think it's going to be high scoring. Packers could win this game. So I like them with the points. I would maybe throw a little flyer on them with the money line, but I definitely with the points.
So you're saying that 49ers could still win, but you think that they're going to cover the spread?
Yeah, I feel that the Packers will cover the spread.
Okay.
That the 49ers could win, but it won't be by 9.5.
Okay.
And it'll definitely be over. I think you could tease that up. If you could do alternate bet lines, I would tease it up to 56. And you would probably get a plus 140, 150, and still get over. So for those guys that are betting same game parlays, definitely do that. You can bet it up to as much as I trust it up to about 55.5.
You know why I hate that so much, though, is because I feel like the Packers, because of the Cowboys and the way they played them on defense in terms of not putting pressure on them and not putting pressure on the receivers, I still feel like this Packers team is such an unknown. And from what I know about the 49ers defense, I just think that could come back and bite people in the butt because that game was such an unknown against Dallas.
Maybe. Yeah. Like I said, I think that they have to come out swinging like they did against Dallas. And if they put them down, even 10-0, it'll change the dynamic of that game.
I don't foresee the Niners just not trying to tackle people the way that the Cowboys did, though.
I see the 49ers cornerbacks attacking the line of scrimmage and tying up those receivers and not giving Jordan Love as much time in that backfield that he had against the Packers. And I don't think the Packers quarterbacks are just going to suddenly disappear and leave these guys out in the open with nobody around. That's where I think there's just such an unknown with that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I want to see them I think the 49ers game is going to tell a lot about that Packers team.
Right. It'll tell a lot more about the Niners, really. I think that this
and
game
you're right.
More
Absolutely.
about the Niners than it will the Packers.
Yep.
Yeah. Because really, if Aaron Rodgers was here, I would say the 49ers all the way. This is a Rodgers-less 49ers, Packers. So I think that's what makes this different. So.
Yeah.
Game on Sunday, the 3:00 game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel to Detroit. Detroit has got a 6.5-point favorite, and it's 49.5 at the over/under.
Oh, the over went up. Okay. It was 48.5 yesterday. I'll go. I'm still going to go Lions here. I don't think they cover. And then I'm still going to take the over even at 49. As well as that defense has been playing for the Bucs, I think that'll create some opportunities. And the fact that you can score against the Lions, I think can keep this game a little bit closer. But at the end of the day, the Lions close it out.
Yeah, one of the things, and Bo, it might have been you that I agreed with about Baker was Baker's better when he's in the underdog spot than he is when he's in the – and I think it was you that said that. And I truly believe what you said about that. And one thing I love about Baker is when Baker's competitive. I mean, we're talking planting the flag in the O in Ohio competitive, right? And that's what I really like. And that's the Baker Mayfield. I think that when he is on – and that defense is on, and those wide receivers of Godwin and Evans are doing what they do, and when White can get the run ball, this team can be dangerous, and I think they're going to get overestimated by Detroit. I really do. But I just don't know that I believe enough. That's the problem, if I believe enough in this Tampa team. And I know what Garner and Aiden Hutchinson are capable of doing on that defensive side of the ball, so I am going to take the Lions on that, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tampa squeaked one out.
No, that's why I'm taking Tampa with the points, right? Like, I
think that if you were betting, I could see that. So I guess I'm going to go the way of Bo in that theory because I do think that Tampa has something there. So I'm going to go Tampa with the points, like Bo said. I agree with that.
I think this is the one blowout this weekend. I think that Tampa Bay, the last weekend, everybody was a blowout except for the Detroit game.
Yep.
I think this is the blowout this week. So I got the Detroit Lions crushing it. Even though Tampa Bay used this pretty face to start their video.
Yeah, they did.
They used it. They used my pretty face.
It's almost my ringtone. It's almost my ringtone now.
This is a bitter pick. Now this makes more sense. You're like anybody but Tampa.
I think Detroit smokes them. I really believe Detroit smokes them. And I'd love for the Packers to be the ones that they play. I'd love to see Detroit in the Super Bowl. I would. Yeah. It would be awesome to see that. I don't think it's going to happen, but I
gonna go all underdog Lions Texans. That where we're going.
Well, Lions. Yeah, no. I think it would be Lions Bills.
Okay.
So, but I got the Lions, and I got it over here. I think Tampa Bay scores like 13 points, and the Lions score like 38.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Last game, 6:30 on Sunday. The Kansas City Chiefs go up against the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills are 2.5-point favorite, and the over-under is 45.5. This is Patrick Mahomes' first game ever as a playoff contender away.
Yep.
Woo! I love it already. As Ric Flair says, woo!
Exactly.
Let me start this off if I can, Bo, because I know you're going to want to wrap this one up, and Philly's definitely going to wrap it up. I love this game. Like you said, specifically because of what Pag said. It's the first game that they play away, which means Taylor Swift's going to have to get used to a new play box to sit and watch her beautiful bow in. And I'm still believing in the Taylor Swift effect. I really believe that Taylor Swift effect is going to come into effect this game, this time, because they are away. Bills Mafia out there to support. And let's be honest, these are two cold weather teams. It's not like Miami coming in there who's maybe prancing around a little bit. These are cold weather teams that are ready to go. Josh Allen can run. He can pass. I like Ed Oliver. I like this defense. And I really suspect that I got to be honest with you, Bo. I don't believe in this Kansas City team as much as I did the previous Kansas City teams and the way that they operate, the way that they think, the way that they go about things. There is no more Bieniemy at the offensive coordinator spot. This is not the same. It's just not the same Kansas City team as what we've seen in the past. And because of that reason, because this isn't the same Kansas City team, because it's on the road, because Packers and Bills Mafia is riding that momentum, I'm going Bills. I do take the over on that.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, really. So I have the Bills here also. And it's because I don't trust the KC offense, right? They've dropped the ball a ton. They seem out of sync. You got Kelsey, just hasn't been the same guy this year. I don't love the offensive side of the ball. They have a great defense. The problem is they're going against the Bills, who also have a good defense, and their offense has worked a lot better, especially as of late, right? They started off kind of slow, seemed to be a little bit out of sorts early in the year, but have really kind of honed it in and have played much better football down the stretch. And, when you're looking at football teams, it's always, how'd you do down the stretch? Because that's the momentum coming in, right? So I like the Bills in this game. They're at home. It's going to be cold, which isn't going to matter for either team. Like you saw earlier, it's not going to be snowy. So I think I'll move my pick a little bit on the over-under. I had it as the under when it was going to be snowing. But since the field's going to be clear and it's just going to be cold, I'm actually going to go over on this now. But I'm still going to go with the Bills and the points because 2.5. I'll take the Bills there.
Yeah. Pat, you're muted, buddy. You're still muted.
You're muted.
The alcohol must have hit you.
There we go. Like I said, it's going to be a balmy 29 degrees at game time.
Yep.
Or 25. It's balmy. That's suntan weather over there for them.
So good.
I until the Chiefs get knocked out, I don't care if they're home or away. I got the Chiefs. They've been to what, five in a row, and AFC Championship games.
Yeah.
Make it 6. I think they're going, and I think that Buffalo is, they're a good team, but the one thing that Kansas City has that Pittsburgh did not have is that their main guy. And that means they're going to have to spend 2 or 3 guys blocking him. They're going to have to block that guy. And that's one thing that they didn't have to do with Pittsburgh. And because of that, they were able to free guys up. They're not going to be able to free the guys up this time.
So based on that prediction, do you have Kansas City basically then being in the Super Bowl?
No.
They fall to the Ravens, is what you're thinking?
Yeah.
I got you.
The Ravens do make it to the Super Bowl, but Kansas City does make it to another AFC Championship game. Until you beat them, that's why I never bet against Joe Burrow.
Wouldn't that same philosophy then uphold up against Baltimore until you beat them, right? I mean, if you guys said that about Buffalo, why aren't you saying that about Baltimore?
Buffalo hasn't made it to 5 consecutive Super Bowls.
Well, they did back in the 90s, but well, 4 I think back then.
So that's what I'm talking about. It's a different scenario.
Sure.
AFC Championship game. You know who made it to a lot of AFC Championship games too? The Patriots.
That's true.
So this is one of those times where I feel like Patrick Mahomes could actually win this game on his own. He ain't going to win the next one, but he'll win this game on his own. And I got them
to catch the ball himself too. Then,
and I think it's going to be under. This is going to be like a 20-16 game.
Okay.
This is where I think not having the wide receiver one is going to come back to back. Patrick Mahomes. If it's not this game, it'll be the next one.
I'm with Paul here. I think it'll be a Ravens-Niners. That's what it looks like it's going to be.
It's possible.
Yeah, I can see that. I could honestly, yeah. But I still think Texas is. I don't know. I can't wait for that. That's the game I really want to see right there. I want to see what Stroud is made of. Going up against probably the best defense in all of football right now with Clowney and Raekwon Smith. I want to see that. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Clowney's on the Ravens?
As far as I know, last time I checked, he signed on with them. Yeah.
He's an ass. He's such an asshole.
He was so overrated in the combine. Freaking the combine.
Still overrated. He's a little bitch. Anyways, excuse my language there as we are at the end of our 2 hours here. Thank you very much for hanging with us. You'll see us next week as we talk about who the winners are and who is going forward. So everybody, thank you very much. Have a good weekend.